Tomorrow, in the Barcelona final, Carlos Alcaraz takes on Holger Rune. Carlos owns a 2-1 head-to-head advantage over Holger, but this is their first meeting on clay. And let's look at their road to the finals. Carlos, in the round of 32, had to play Ethan Quinn and won that in straight sets. Round of 16 against Laszlo Djere, also straight sets, pretty routine. Quarterfinals against de Minaur, again, just too much game for Demon on clay, especially on the Spanish home turf for Carlos. And then a very disappointing semifinal from Arthur Fils. Carlos takes that pretty routinely. Fils did not play his best tennis. Carlos jumped on him from the start, and it was just a slippery slope from there for Fils. And Alcaraz is looking in scary form going into this finals. And now let's look at Holger Rune's path to the finals. In the round of 32, straight sets win over Ramos Vinolas. And then after losing the first set against Sebastian Baez, he then won in 3 sets, 6-1, 6-2, in the round of 16. And then as an underdog, very impressive performance against Casper Ruud, 6-4, 6-2. Casper has owned that head-to-head in the past, but this was a very dominant display from Holger. This is where I started to really start believing in his form. And then he followed up that big upset win in a pretty confident display against Karen Khachanov, 6-3, 6-2. And now he gets a crack at King Carlos. This is the first meeting on clay for these two. I think clay is probably Holger's best surface. This is a surface where Carlos also thrives on. The way Carlos has looked the past couple weeks, winning Monte Carlo, pretty routinely getting to this final, it's tough to go against this scary form that he's currently in, especially with the home crowd behind him. Holger, I think, is like a top 5 or 6 player on clay. I think he's a real threat at Roland Garros this year. It's no fluke that he made the finals. He made the adjustments against Casper, and he has also looked very impressive on his way to this Barcelona final. Again, without Sinner, it's another guy who gets a shot to take down Carlos. He gets his first crack at it this year on the clay. Even how well I've seen Holger been playing so far this tournament, I think overcoming Carlos these days is just too tall a task for anybody. Maybe when Sinner comes back, if he picks up the level that he displayed before his suspension, I think that's going to be a tough test for Carlos. But I think right now, with his confidence, with his physical advantage, with how he's ripping his forehand, I don't think many people can hang with him on a clay court. I think Holger, his familiarity with Carlos, he grew up with them. They're pretty much the same age. I think he's going to come with a good strategy, make this close initially. But I think Carlos, when his back against the wall, when the pressure is on, that's when he's locked in. That's when he plays his best tennis. I think Carlos wins this Barcelona final. He goes back-to-back with Monte Carlo and Barcelona. And coming off another title here, he's going to look like the true favorite going into Roland Garros this year. Most finals have a lot of hype going into them. Both players are playing very well coming into this finals, but I think this is going to be one-way traffic with Carlitos. A lot depends how Carlos shows up. I don't think Holger is going to be a pushover here, but I do like Carlos to win this in straight sets. I do think Holger is going to make this a competitive watch, but I am going to take Carlos with the -4.5 games. Most finals tend to be letdowns, and I think Carlos is just going to be too much for Holger. I think his weapons are just more effective in the spot. He's going to have the home crowd behind him, and I'm not betting against this version of Carlos Alcaraz. The -4.5 games, I'm taking it instead of the under because that gives a little flexibility if Holger does make one of the sets close and maybe even takes a tiebreaker. But I think over the course of this match, Carlos, he's going to be such a threat on return and holds a little bit easier than Holger. So that's why I'm taking Carlitos game spread and for him to lift the trophy. Let's go enjoy some tennis tomorrow. Keep double faulting out there and don't forget to subscribe if you've been enjoying the channel.